Hi everybody and welcome back to the Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video number 34 and in this video we continue with our animations. We stopped with creating an animation blueprint. I open my one up and this is the place what we created so far. And the next thing is we will of course try to understand how our default animation works. This one is the default character and there are many things in it. Looks very complicated, but in real it's very simple, because important is this one, because this one will determine our animation, which we can see here in the preview, and all the other things are just settings and connections to create this animation here. And we will do it the very simplest way in this video. There are different ways. We start with the very simple one, which is we go to our animation blueprint. I'm in the animation graph. If it's not open up, you can click here on the right side to animation graph. And the very simple way to achieve one animation is, because this one is our end position, also our end animation, we just go here on the right side to asset browser and just take one animation and drop it here and connect it. Let's do it. So I just take this idle one. So I have now here one idle animation, and now I connect it. I connect this with this one because this one will show now here my final animation, and when I press compile, and now I have already created an idle animation, and when I compare it with this one, it's also an idle animation. So that's very good. The big difference is here that our character can only idle like here. It can only stay in this animation. Yeah, on this side, the default one can of course walk, jump, and so on. And we have to learn how we can add them, but step by step. So let's continue. This was the simplest way, but this is not the most effective way. Let me show you one more way. Let's delete this and start over again. So this is our start position. What we can do now here in this animation blueprint is you go to the animation graph here on the left side, you right click it, and then, no, not there, sorry. You go here to the animation graph here on this place, then right click it here and search for state machine. And if you found there the state machine, then you have to find this node here which says add new state machine. Click on it, and now we have something called a state machine. Let's click compare it. Yes, they have state machines too. They have even, also the default character has even two. So we are good on the way, but let's take it still simple. What is this state machine? This one, when I double click it, it opens up and I can code in it. Very important information here. I go back to the default character to show you something. If you hover over the state machine and have already code in it, you can see this what is included already in it in a tooltip. But of course, when I click this state machine, this looks a little bit bigger. So we are here. Our entry point is here. Our default character is here. Okay. Let's try to learn the state machine now. Okay, so far, what can I do here in the state machine? You can, again, get animations here. There are different ways. One way is you drag out from this node, and there appears a arrow, and then you have three options here. One, it says conduit, the state alias, and add state. So important is for us add state. This one is more complicated. Add states for more various states. This is a little bit more at once. We learn first the very simple one, which is just add one state. It is just one state. and we name this state, let's say, idle. So, and idle means exactly like the name, it will do the same thing what we did before with this idling. But right now our character here on the left side, it's not idling because we have go one step back. You can go step here on this side, or you can click here just anim graph here on the left side. It's go back because we have here connect the state machine with our end post, because this one is our end post and this must be connected. And when we compile and our character is still not idling, that's normal because we go back to our state machine. We have entered our state idle, but there is no animation in it. What we do is we double click on it, and now we have here again an end pose, right? End pose means again this character will be in this pose which is defined here. It's the same like our big one. This is the end pose for all, and when we go to our state machine to the idle, the same goes here too. So we have to put in an animation, and of course we choose here the, oops, where is this? This idle animation in my case, and then I connect this one here and I compile it, and we have our idle animation back. And this one, let's compare it to this one, what they have in the default character. They have here something like locomotion, and then here and here you have to go a little bit more. The real thing is what they have in the default one is this one, locomotion, and then they start with idling, and then they will go here to walk, and they have this part we did, for example, so far. Very cool. And I go back to my animation blueprint, and here I go back at start, so you can see this is our final product. We created just a state machine. When I hover over it, I can see the tooltip, what in my state machine is. Can I hold this one a little bit bigger? If you press Ctrl Alt, and by double clicking we go in it, and there we created our first idle state, our first animation end pose. And very important, which is not shown here, when I add here one more state, let's add here one more state. This one is just test. This is not very important. Test. And this one here, you see something like something new. This one is called a transition rule. A transition rule means later you are in this state, for example, we are idling. And if you want to go, for example, to the next rule, let's call this rule walk. And if you want to go, for example, to the walk, you have to, there is a condition, and after the condition is true, you can go to walk. For example, if I press the keyboard walk key as a move forward key, then you can say, for example, in this transition rule, key move is pressed and move forward. Let's see how the default, let me double click on it. You can see here is this boolean, who is the condition checker, and it checks if the condition to go to the next state is fulfilled. When I compare this to our idle character, our default character, you can see they have here also a condition when I double click it, and here it says only should move, but this one is a little bit more difficult because this one is just a boolean, but this boolean is used on another place, which I will not show in this video. That's why we skip this right now. Later I will show you. Important is now to know, I go back to my character again, animation blueprint. I go one step here back, so I'm here again at my entry point. This one we created, we have transitions, and here is one transition missing, right? Because from a walk state you can go back to an idle state as well. And the way you do this one is you click here again. From here, you can drag back another state back. And this one says from walk you want stand. Okay, that's this transition we will do later. And how this all definitions with walk. This was just a little bit too fast probably, because I wanted to show you something else here, very important. So we are back to our idle state, right? Which was very simple actually. We just created with this one we had with the animation blueprint here, the state machine. The state machine, I forgot to name it. And the state machine, you can press F2 or right click and rename something here. And this state machine should be called something which makes sense. Let's call it locomotion. This locomotion means just in this case I want only try to make states for moving. So for example, if you create later another state machine for fighting, then you would call it fight system or fight anything for fighting. So here only for walking, jumping, falling, and running, and so something like that. All right, that's that. Then I click again to my state machine, it opens up. And this one we created, this one we set here one more thing. When you create, let me delete this one fast again. For example, I showed you that you can create one way. This one, then you have here the three options. We add the state, but of course you can right click here too. And here you have one more option. You have the same options like before, but one more option. And the one more option is just a comment, because I think you can't comment in this graph with the usual way, which is just press a C. So if we have here, for example, a state, you would press now C for comment. That is not working. But if you want comment, then you right click it here and go to the comment section, and then you can add a comment as well. That's very nice. So, and now the final thing, which is the best thing probably, how to add these animations, because till now I added the animations very, let's say, very work intensive. What I mean with that is till now I said I drag here out, add a state, name the state idle, and then I double click it, yes, and then I find the animation, yes, here. Oh, that was not much work, but think about it, you have here around, I don't know, around 500 animations which you want anyhow connect, and so that takes a while then. But probably it's worth it, but it still takes a while. There's another way, and the another way is actually what we are going to do now. And it's very simple and straight, fast and straightforward. So what we are doing is, let me see what I did here again. Ah, yeah, that's okay. What we are just doing is the idle animation. If you have all the animations already available here in your asset browser, you can make it bigger, and then you name it properly. Probably, I mean, you know which animation you will need. Then you can just drag and drop the animations here in, and you see it creates the state, it creates the animations, and it creates also normally the name if you named it properly. For example, here's idle, and for this one, in my case, it's a bad naming, but at least here is idle a little bit, and then I just connect this one very easy and fast. And now I can go here, for example, for jump, or not land, for jump, click it here, drag this one, and then I can go for land here, drag this one, and create here my transition. The only problem here is probably what you have to do, but that's normal, the back states, because if you want go here, most time you want go back here too, not all time, but most time you want, for example, or from idle to jump or from idle to walk or something like that. So you can see what I mean. It's very easy when you make this way, and all the animations are already connected and are working fine. So, and then let's see what we have here. I think with that said, we can stop here for this video. We will continue. One last thing I forgot to mention in the last video as well, which was how to use this animation blueprint, right? We have created this animation blueprint, but how the hell we are going to use that? That's very easy actually. You double click, you go to your character. Let's go to your default character here. So in my case, it's this one. Then I open this one up. Then I go to the viewport. I go here on the right side to the mesh, my character mesh. I click on it, or you click here in the mesh. And on the right side on details, you go down to the animation, and by default, it's already using use animation blueprint here. And in our case, we created an animation blueprint. So yes, use animation blueprint, but this time anim class, you set this one is the default one. Now you have to find your animation blueprint class. In my case, let me go back here fast to animations. And in my case, it's this Apivory. I select this one and then I assign it here. And then I compile it, save it. You see, it is working. I am idling, but like I said before, we are just idling when I start here in our game. I press start. Yeah, that looks really good. You are idling, that's good. But now when I walk, I have no walking animations. When I jump, I have no jumping animations. And when I hit, okay, this hit animation comes from the sequence which we added in the blueprint. That's why it is working. That's good. Nice. At least I can hit. But all other things, this locomotion, also this movement, is all not present because we have to do this. But we will continue in the next video with a little bit more adding stats and how to create this animation. And yeah, that's for this video. See you in the next. Bye.